Are you familiar with Nipsey Hussle?
No doubt. Nipsey, my mosque is right across the street from where Nipsey Hussle used to stand out on the corner, Slauson. I guess that's the northwest corner of Slauson and Crenshaw.
For the dime moves and the lokes, for the 6-4s on spokes, for the OGs that did a dime, came back around on parole, for the homegirls with the scrap game, lil' homies that gang bang, from Pelican Bay to YA, rearrange your mind frame. Yeah, I know what you've been through, shit you had to go tend to. Your mama gave birth on the turf, I know them killers you kin to. This for the lost generation, broke as hell, man.
Lifting weights and I was on swole, they start calling me Big Miz.
Original stutter box. Eastside 5, who's Pebble on Bishop, Mid City Gangster Bloods.
Yeah, make video, you know, this is for sure, Yeah, make video, open your soul.
This is only the beginning.
Nipsey was, like Darryl Strawberry or, community icon, I definitely love some of his music,
So you are familiar with his business model, his ideology, his philosophy.
We count him as our own, It's probably like Biggie is the Brooklyn, that kind of stuff. I'm a poet. I said in about 80, 81, that rap was poetry, and all the big time poets disdained me. It was like, man, no, that's what poetry is like up here, So I taught, the way I taught English was through poetry. I taught you couplets and quatrains and onomatopoeia and, all kinds of sonnets and, but I didn't call it that. Yeah. I called it rhyme, rhyme schemes, and so you can make a smooth transition from my class to writing rhymes to rapping, I saw the validity in that. A lot of people who can't write a very good composition can write an epic poem, can write a haiku that I have people remember it for the rest of their lives, and they'll be in special ed. So I used that device, that vehicle, and I had poetry performance groups. We did mostly classical. So I got. I had one guy. His name is. He was just telling me this week. He saw one of the performances he did on this tape, and he's a professional actor now. 30 years later, I was one of the first teachers to actually use the video camera, to actually do interviews like this, back in the early 80s, all the way up,
You know what? I'm trying to reflect on your book. I haven't read it in decades.
Yeah, right.
You mentioned Tookie in that book, didn't you?
If I did, I gave him a pseudonym. No, I didn't mention.
No?
No, I don't think Tookie wasn't mentioned. The deal with right now, we give Raymond Washington. I know you know Raymond Washington.
Right.
Ray, he became Ray Ray.
Yeah, Ray the character. That's based off of Raymond Washington.
Yeah, the pimp. We took portions of, composites. We'll put a little bit here.
What's up, Mac-Is and Maniacs? I am in the lab cooking up something good for you for after Christmas. We got S-Mac, the man with 1,000 questions, and I interviewing Big Run, the nephew of Mr. Raymond Washington, the founder of the Crips. You got a project coming out pretty soon?
Yeah, so I got a documentary called The Birth of a Crip, the Raymond Washington story. Produced by Kenya Ware, Big U, and a few others.
And what's your relations to this project?
My relation to the project, that's my uncle.
Chitty chitty bang bang, nothing but a Crip thing. Muscles on his body, he dare a nigga to trip, man.
Raymond Washer's my uncle. It's my father's little brother.
Only 15, but was a general in the trenches, he got fame. In 69, he started Crip with a few of his crew. Bow-legged Reggie, Bulldog, and Cray Knockers a few.
So be sure to check in the Mac videos the day after Christmas. Big Ron coming at you.
The brother that just died, Monster, he became mobster in the book, and he was with A-Trade. That's about the closest it got. You know, and it wasn't like totally them, it was like the name. You know, like for instance, before the movie South Central came out, you never heard the term OG. It was never written. You ever saw it, it was on a wall maybe. And you had to really be in the in crowd. Youngsters knew what all that meant. You know, youngsters knew the importance of the term OG. They aspired to it, like youngsters aspire to be captains of the football team or something. After that, because OG became a hero, where OG had been a pariah, a murderer, the worst of the worst gangsters, all of a sudden, OG became a term of endearment. Now, when younger brothers call older brothers OG, it's like an honor. So, you know, that's the kind of thing you can do with novels. You know, you can change social behaviors, you know, especially with the language.
Who was behind, or what was the reason that you didn't use Crips in the movie South Central?
They couldn't say a word. You couldn't say it on CNN. We couldn't say Crips.
So whose idea was it to use deuces, right?
One of the guys? Yeah, Deuce. Because there's a 5 Deuce Hoover Crip, right?
Right.
There's a couple of Deuces, 6 Deuce Brims, you know. But it was like, I think he probably was a former gangster, you know. We were brainstorming, you know, and I really don't know which brother that was.
You wasn't pushing for it to stay authentic and use Crip and Bloods in the movie, or you was okay with them switching the names of the gangs?
I've been told so many times that I couldn't say Crip, you know, that I was trying to get. My thing was this: people dying out here for this movie. You know, they said that in the what's the review? Movie review.
Hollywood Reporter.
I got it up on the wall. Yeah, the Hollywood Reporter.
But you knew Deuce was Hoover, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You knew Deuce was inclined with the Crips, you know. So
we natives know that, but outside of L.A., everybody's scratching their head.
No, nobody was scratching, because if you look at the movie, it's explaining about the Hoover Deuces.
Uh-huh.
It's a part with OG Bobby Johnson and Ray where he explains everything. That's the difference to me. I really appreciated the movie South Central because that was the first movie. Boys in the Hood. Where was they from in Boys in the Hood? Not being disrespectful. Where was they from? They didn't say no Crip and no Blood, no Boys in the Hood. They didn't say no Crip and no Blood, no Menace to Society. In South Central, they actually said Hoover Deuce. And Ray said in the scene that had OG Bobby Johnson and others like Bear and explained to him about the Hoover Deuces. You know what I'm saying? They said cousins.
What role did you play in it?
I had a small role where OG Bobby Johnson was coming to look for his son. And I'm the one that, you know, was saying, you know, if you need any help killing Willie Manchester, you just call. But the difference between South Central and all those other hood movies was that it explained. You didn't know where they was from in Boys in the Hood. we assumed we was natives, right? I went to Crenshaw. You know, you said you went to Crenshaw. They never said they was from 60s or 40s, right? They talked about the Crenshaw Mafias, but South Central was the first movie, because I don't think my father, and he did, he's been doing an excellent job, but he didn't say this. South Central was the first movie to put it on the line and mention actual gangs and say Hoover Deuce. I always said it like this. I was really admired, even though, you know, I'm a naturally go with my father's movie, but I was admired South Central over all those other movies because those other movies never mentioned anything about where they was actually from. OG Bobby Johnson threw up the deuce and said Hoover Deuce.
I got you.
You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Where was Doughboy from? He never said cuz once, even when he got angry. You mean to tell me ain't no Crip when they get angry is gonna say cuz? You know what I'm saying? OG Bobby Johnson said cuz. Ray Ray said cuz. All the different characters in South Central. And the biggest thing that South Central differentiate itself from Boys in the Hood, Boys in the Hood didn't have no message. What was the message? South Central, OG Bobby Johnson went to prison and changed his life from becoming a Muslim. What was the message in What was the message in Boys in the Hood? Doughboy got killed. Movie over. Ricky should have not went down that alley. You know what I'm saying? He was going to USC, got killed. It was no message in Boys in the Hood. There was no message in Mississippi. What's the message in? Somebody tell me what's the message in Mississippi? He was about to go to Atlanta and got killed trying to protect the baby. There was no message in none of those movies. South Central was the first movie with a message. And the first movie, gangbanger movie, that mentioned actual gangs that was from L.A. If you was from L.A. and you didn't know, you don't think, when I went to college in Oklahoma, people weren't talking about Hoover Deuce. I went to Langston University. It was hoods that was started over parts of South Central, as far as the Hoover Deuce and stuff like that. I think my father did an excellent job, but
we knew the impact. You know, I'm a major in speech communications. I knew the impact that this symbolism could have on these traditions that we were trying to change.
What was the box office sales on that movie?
Almost nothing. I was looking at that today. You know, what happened though was this. The movie was supposed to come out before April 29th, 1992. And before April 29th, 1992, South Central didn't mean anything to somebody in Iowa, in New York. It wasn't like Harlem or anything. It was innocuous. But then, by the time the uprising on April 29th, 1992 came out, where Warner Brothers was going to put the film on, I think, 1,500 to 3,000 screens, they had a backlash from movie house owners because they said they were going to have more security. So instead of 1,500 or 3,000 screens, it came out on 78 screens.
But there was a cult following for South
Oh yeah, but the
video.
But after the movie came into video, it sold something like 50,000 videos at $66 each to the video stores in a week because there was so much demand. But the studios white people were scared of South Central, right? Yeah. And there's nothing in it. If anybody sees it, it's not the kind of movie that people are going to run out and start shooting each other about. In fact, it's just the antithesis of that. So, you know, it was Hollywood was very skeptical. So it wound up, I think it just box office was like $1.3 million. You know, they were saying that when it first was made, they were saying it cost $2.5 million, I think. Now they're saying it costs $4 million. But it always had that stigma of not having the big release, you know, and people were primed.
You got any new projects in the pipeline or any offers?
This one right there. I'm the executive producer of that, Muslimah's Guide to Marriage.
Glenn Plummer, OG Bobby Johnson, the guy that was in South Central, he's in the movie Muslimah. Other characters that was in South Central are also in the movie.
Yeah, this movie won best feature film at the Pan-African Film Festival.
And it'll be live streamed December 22nd. And I produced it.
Okay. Get the producer.
The producer. You want to tell us about it?
Oh, I didn't even think I was being
Okay.
But I'm fine with that. How are you guys? Glad to have you all in our home.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Kenyatta Bakir. I'm the eldest child of Donald Bakir.
And I should have introduced myself too. I just went off on the rant about boys in the hood. My name is Musa Bakir. I'm Donald Bakir's son.
The oldest son. But not older than me. So Muslimah's Guide to Marriage is a movie that is for everyone. It speaks about a black Muslim woman who is in her 30s who is living in Inglewood, California. And the backstory is she is going through a divorce. And in the Islamic culture, which is our culture, women and men, when they divorce, it's called an ada. An ada is a waiting period. And so you have 3 months in that time to reconcile. And so it's kind of like a I Love Lucy black version. So she does a lot of antics. We lift up Black Lives Matter. I'm a member and activist of Black Lives Matter. So we lift up some parts in there. But we also highlight women empowerment. A lot of times people look at black women in general, but especially Muslim women, as being oppressed. And so Amina, who is my sister and my dad's daughter, directed the film, and this was her first feature.
Where's the movie going to be live streamed on?
Well, that's what our company that we just signed with is going to be pitching. So we're hoping that it will be on Hulu and those kind of platforms, HBO, but we will find out very soon where they will be. But if you go to Muslimah's Guide to Marriage, which is our social media page, we're on Facebook and Instagram, or if you want to go to our website, which is www.Muslimah's Guide to Marriage. If you even put Muslimah, it comes up when you Google it.
Are you still part of the nation, or you do?
No. I'm what they would probably call Orthodox Muslim. My relationship to the Nation of Islam is not antagonistic. We have different opinions about some stuff, but essentially, they're Muslims. You know.
What made you shift and when?
When Elijah Muhammad died.
1975.
1975, when Elijah Muhammad died, I'll admit I was chomping at the bit. I knew that we were dealing with like kindergarten Islam. And when Imam Warthi Muhammad, who succeeded his father, Elijah Muhammad, became leader and who became the leader of the group of Muslims whom I had been a part of for 6 years. I welcomed the focus on the Quran and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad. I found that it was easier for me to stay away from the things I knew were problematic for me. My appetite for children was whetted under the Nation of Islam. I was, in those days, most of my peers were caught up in zero population growth, which just meant that if you wanted to be middle class, and black people were mostly lower class at that time, it was late 60s, then you should have no more than 2.5 children, because that was the way you stayed, at least economically, ahead of the game. So, in fact, Minister Louis Farrakhan used to have sermon that he preached about the birth control plan of the white man is the death plan for the black man. And I was just following because we were building a nation. So I had 7 children of my own and 2 stepkids. And they are indeed the inspiration in my life. You know, it's like I could have gotten caught up in a whole lot of other stuff, you know. I could have got to thinking I was cute, you know. I could have got to, you know, got caught up in. I remember after the movie South Central, I had an agent in those days, black agent, I forget. Not a publicist, black publicist. They said, okay, you're going to give up your career as an educator and open an office, you know, film production or look for a job in the studio. And I realized I had been in Hollywood. I saw Hollywood. And I didn't see anybody in Hollywood. I saw a lot of people I respected, you know, and talked with Sidney Poitier, you know. But I didn't see them as having a better life than me. I didn't see them as getting as much love as I got. Legitimate love. I didn't see them having the passion for going to work every day that I did, even though it was waning. I told them no. I just came back to teaching and had some great years, except the last two a little rough. But teaching for me is, well, my daughter is a teacher. My other daughter is a professor. My daughter now is a
social work. Being a meet of both professors, and then Keila is a social worker.
My son is a preschool teacher. My wife is a former teacher. In fact, my two deceased wives were teachers. You know, it's just I think that there's something a little sacred about being a teacher. Most people don't know, but get a lot of love as a teacher. You know?
I want to ask you a final question. As Matt wants to ask you something. Being a teacher in South Central, you've seen the population shift. You've seen it go from heavily black to heavily Latino. Basically, the black population in LA is disappearing. How do you view that affecting the state of black gangs in LA with the population dwindling? How do you see that affecting the longevity of the Crips and Bloods in LA?
Well, it's going to make a lot more homeless. It's going to make a lot more homeless. It's like 74th Street went from $10,000 houses to now $500,000 and $600,000 houses. The people who don't have houses are becoming homeless. A lot of people from South Central have been pushed down to the Skid Row.
Do you see that as the beginning of the end for the Crips and Bloods in South Central? No black population?
Well, if you look at the murder numbers or death numbers, and I used to do that assiduously, but I do know that a couple of years ago, they were saying that the number of deaths had fallen below 1969, when they first started. you know. I believe in reparations. I feel that Crips and Bloods and victims, really, of this society, especially the black ones, they deserve mortgage-less housing with no mortgage. They deserve no property tax. They need to come together on a political platform that essentially phases in what was taken from them during slavery. They are one house away from being equal economically to everybody else in America. If they could ensure, you know, like I was telling you about, kids didn't know where they were going to live next month. If they had houses that were stable, there would be no gangbanging. It'd be a small, very, very minuscule portion of society that was hardly worth being given any time. There's a poverty that goes from generation to generation, and it forces people into illegal behaviors. You know, there's a system that you got a system that doesn't teach 1 out of 4 people how to read. You know, in this technological society, they need to be repaired. That system needs to be repaired. I know every time, you know, there's a new wrinkle in the economy, the people at the bottom suffer more. You know, it used to be called the permanent underclass. I do believe that the former gangsters, like the named ones, they need to be for reparations. They need to be for no black property tax. They need to be for canceling black student loans. They need to be for no down payment for sons and daughters of former slave masters. They need to be remunerated for that. You know, the solution to cripping is land. You know, it's ownership. Yeah, ownership. It's like
making babies. He didn't mention that, but we are in a drastic decline of us having babies.
Oh yeah.
We can't complain about other nationalities like the Mexicans or any Latinos or whatever you want to label, because they're having more babies than us. That's what happened with us, is that we stopped having babies. You know, we was at, what would you say, in the 70s?
It became fashionable.
But now we at 1.8. You know, birth rate right there, 1.8, something like that. We're not having babies. You know, we look down on people that have kids.
What do you think about gangbangers, the ones that you talk to? How many of them do you think do they have children?
Majority of them.
The majority of them, right?
Multiple.
Most of them have kids, but most of the Latino ones are most of the blacks and Latinos.
We don't interview too many Latinos.
Oh, don't you? Okay. Well, I think that some of the economic decisions that gangsters have to make, those cards were dealt before they even started. It's like, I ain't never gonna have a house, in my life. Big Mama had a house, then but you ain't gonna have no house. Your house is the prison. That's your house.
Okay, I got one question for you. Have you ever went into the youth authorities or prison to speak to?
Man, I used to sell that book, OG poetry book, in Nellis. I used to sell it like a couple times. They buy it a couple times a week. A month. They would buy this book, right, at Nellis. Because it appealed to the youngsters, it made them. It's written in rhyme, and rhyme is powerful, man. People don't know.
Who wrote these gang names on here?
A kid named Derek Lindsay, a gang artist, one of the top gang artists back in the day. This is like 1981.
Do you have a message for the young gamers to wrap it up?
One, I'm prejudiced because I'm an English teacher, but my message is reading, literacy. I know from experience that you can only think in words. Babies don't think, they react until they get words. If you don't have enough words, you're going to have problems that you're not going to be able to solve.
Sitting reminiscing about the days of way back.